Everybody, welcome to Rise Up the Podcast. I'm here, Dan Seibel, with your two favorite hosts, Greg Gurenlian and Scotty Rogers. Fellas, how we doing? You guys have a good week, good weekend?
I got a little bit of a conundrum right now. My AC unit's out. I'm going to be sweating bricks this whole episode.
I just turned my AC off because it was sounded like raindrops in here, so I'm taking one for the team. Hopefully I'm not getting too hot. Greg, how you doing?
I am in a temperate, well air-conditioned basement. But just in case that turns off, I'm wearing an all-black t-shirt. Strategy. No one can tell if you're sweating through your t-shirt when you wear the all-black.
Such a dad.
So, veteran move.
That is veteran move. Boys, we had a great week of lacrosse last weekend. The atmosphere looked awesome in Denver. We talked about last week on the podcast. Smaller stadium. You know, it felt like it was buzzing all weekend with that, crowd right on top of everyone. A lot of former University of Denver players really turned up out there. Awesome to see them kind of come back. The fans come out and watch them. Let's get into a recap of those games. And we'll start actually with the Water Dogs versus the Atlas. Water Dogs beat the Atlas 16-15 in overtime, and one of those Denver Pioneers actually netted the game winner in OT. Awesome to see. What did you guys think?
We talked about Hannah last week, kind of how he's coming into his own. Obviously, going back to where he played, little extra juice. That game, I think they were just up for that game. Listen, everyone when they play the Atlas right now, I think they kind of warranted like we got to bring our A game. The Water Dogs needed to prove something, and I think that was a big prove it game on their schedule. And I was pumped to see that. That was a great game.
Yeah, I agree with you that everyone's been kind of waiting now that they've had a couple games in a row. Everyone's waiting for them to beat like a top tier team and see if they're a playoff contender. And they are. I was really impressed. Yeah, absolutely with Hannah. But you're right. People go into these games thinking we have to be efficient on offense and we have to play great defense and use our transition because we're going to lose probably 60 to 70% of our faceoffs, right? Because Trevor's the man. However, I think Tucci did a great job for the Water Dogs. He won some clean, and he was a force in transition. And I could start to see him wearing guys down in the fourth quarter. He did a great job. So he gave Trevor everything he could. But, this Water Dogs team was super efficient. And I think you saw the Atlas making some weird mistakes that they generally don't make as well.
I mean, you could kind of feel that energy, though, right? Like from the Water Dogs, like the bench, they celebrated goals. Like everything was there. It seemed like a playoff game. That's what I felt like watching the Water Dogs compete. Dude, they're figuring it out, and it's coming in the right time.
They're rolling. They're rolling right now.
Who had DNAP with a 14-yard screamer to send an OT on their 2022 bingo card?
That's a vet.
Shout out to DNAP. That was sick.
100%.
Well, I did have the Water Dogs winning this game, and you two had the Atlas.
Yeah,
that sucked this week.
We'll get into picks. But yeah, I mean, the Water Dogs, I think that's their fifth win in a row. They are rolling. Yep. Atlas, no reason to hit the panic button. I mean, they played a great game. They scored 15 goals. Yeah, I mean, maybe you can point to the defense and say, hey, we need some more help from you guys. But I mean, just from a lacrosse fan standpoint, this was such a fun game to watch. So much, so much high pressure situations at the end. Like you said, DNAP scoring that off stick near side, step down, sidearm from decreasing his angle. Unbelievable. Yep. What a shot. And then, Hannon, burying it in overtime in his college stadium. What a game to watch.
Yeah. I got a question for Greg. Like watching Trevor, is he, what percent health do you think he's at right now?
He's not 100, but he's, in order for you to face off in the PLL successfully, you have to be at least 85, if not 90%. I would say that Trevor's playing, the way I'm watching him run, he looks like he's afraid to completely turn on the jets. Like when you have a pulled hammy, you never know if it's healthy unless you completely let it go on your sprint. That's when you find out. You can tell he's afraid to open it up a bit, but other than that, he looks good. So, and like we said, I highly doubt that the PLL is going to let him play if he's not close to 100% at this point. So he's definitely past the diagnostics.
Yeah, I mean, and if listeners, at home don't know, the hamstring is one of the fucking worst things to go. It's nagging, and all you can do to make it better is rest. That's the only thing. The only thing you can do is nothing. So
it's so frustrating.
It fucking sucks.
My 1 year with the Redwoods in 2019, I tore it against the Whipsnakes, and I played the rest of the game on it. And it was really stupid because I trashed it for like 4 weeks. I came back, tried to do the All-Star game, tweaked it again. And it's so infuriating. So, yeah, it's really, really frustrating. But if you rest it and you're smart about your PT, I mean, out there in Colorado, he's got a hell of a team around him. And you can tell he's putting in the work.
He trains out there, I think, too. So, I mean, he got all his trainers and stuff, too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like we said, great game. Both of those teams are sitting in good positions for the playoffs right now.
How did Teat do, by the way? How many points did Teat have?
Teat, let's see. He had it is not in the notes. Shout out to the producers on that one. Shout out to the interns on that one. But I can look that up in the background. But I watched the game. I saw him have a couple. I think I saw him have at least one goal. But those teams,
why we want to know that is because I've been getting chirped all week about that Lyle bench. I just need to know what the final point totals were for these guys.
Poor Lyle went off, but I think we can get back to the stardom sit and we can recap last week when we get to that segment. But let's move on. We talked about Lyle. Let's move on to the Cannons game. Okay. The Cannons, they didn't win. They were the first game that weekend, that Friday night game. Redwoods beat the Cannons 15-12. It was a back and forth game for a while, 1-goal game for a while. But just, more of the same. The Cannons can't take that extra step and get that win column.
Yeah, I'm just watching like Nicky Maraca. Dude, he made some great saves, like momentum saves in tight. There's really not one person to blame. Like Lyle went off. I don't know if they're finishing well, but they're in every game, right? And it's just like it's the same story every week. Look, Lyle does what Lyle does, right? And he's going to continue to do so. But where is the other guy? Where is the defense going to step up, right? Are we going to slow him down a little bit? Like right now, it's just hard to watch right now because they're getting the right pieces together.
Yeah. I think we touched
Greg,
on
what
this
did you see in that one? You agree?
Yeah, we touched on this a little bit last week when we talked about the problem with a team that is last in the standings and you keep getting these 1-goal games or, you keep losing, you can't put the whole thing together. I mean, you're starting to see the hashtag free Lyle on these Premier Lacrosse League posts because you got the league leader in points is on dead last team. And, it's just, you're going to start seeing guys mentally check out. Like it's going to happen. It's human nature. They're going to say the right things. They're going to want to mentally will themselves to do the right things. But you're going to be in these 100-degree heat games, and maybe you just don't get to that second slide, or maybe you just don't get to the out of bounds before the opponent. It's that kind of stuff's going to start to creep in, and things could get ugly.
I mean, boys, like what do you think though? Like, I know Lyle's doing his part. I know Asher's still doing his part, right? Like Drenner's still coming, like doing his thing. We talk about that midfield, right? Is it right? Rafis, right? Rafis is playing midfield.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I think I kind of want to see more.
No, go on. Sorry.
Yeah. Like I said, I want to see more of that. Like Rafis, I know last year he was great. I just want to see him injected into that offensive flow a little more.
I think I look at this Cannons roster and like you see that meme video where it's like that high school football kid. He's like talking about the running backs. He's like, we got so and so dog. We got Jacob dog. Like I think about the Cannons when I think of that. I mean like Lyle dog, Drenner dog, Rafis dog. That rookie Donville, he's playing awesome dog, and they can't put it together and they're so close.
I agree with you. We talked about the 2-ball being huge in this game, and the Redwoods had 2 2-pointers, which is, that's 4 goals, and they won by 3, right? And I say we, but I really mean me. I'm the one who said that. So when you look at the statistics team wise, like they're almost dead even in every single category except they won twice as many faceoffs. The Redwoods actually turned the ball over more than the Cannons. So it really came down to those 2-point shots. Hartsey. Oh, I told you, Hartsey. We needed to see a Hartsey 2-pointer. We got it.
I texted him right after. Like, that's throwback Hartzell.
By the way, shout out to the PLL. The sickest photo of Hartsey with the 2 sign from the back of his jersey, and the stands are packed in that one section. Oh, it looks so good. I would frame that if I were him.
Speaking of jerseys, the throwback jerseys were sick.
Yeah, when we get done talking about this week, I want to hear what your guys' rankings were on those jerseys.
All right, we'll get back to that for sure.
But going back to this game, Garsney Reiner played well.
Dude,
I thought he played well, and when he plays well, but when he plays with that energy, they're a whole different team. It's like his energy sparks it,
Yeah.
And Bertrand had a fantastic game. He's putting up highlight reel goals left and right. He's a guy that came out of Merrimack College. He did his 5th year at UVA. He was, a little bit unknown, but I mean, the kid's a straight up baller, and he's coming into his own. I know he plays the indoor game. He's gets better and better every time I watch him play.
Yeah.
Oh, he's going to be better as a pro for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. He doesn't get enough love because that Redwoods offense has so many like singular stars. Bertrand, in my opinion, is really an X factor on that offense.
Oh yeah.
And Rob, he looked great. He was 2 and 3, really kind of quarterbacking out there, doing his thing, looking like Rob Cannell.
I think Robbie needs to be that calming presence for that offense. Like, because they got Dodgers, they got dynamic plays everywhere, they got like the dancing, they got all the swag. Robbie is the steady Eddie. Like, he could do 2 and 3, 1 and 3, but he just has to keep doing his thing, back and forth, nice and calm. And I just think they play better when he's like that.
Absolutely. I think the Redwoods right now, they're in a decent spot. They're 3 and 5. The Redwoods, the Chaos, and the Cannons are the only teams that aren't clinched for the playoffs, and there's 2 spots left. Looking at the PLL website, it only gives the Cannons an 18% chance to make the playoffs right now. I don't know who's cranking those numbers in the back end, but does that make you think the Cannons guys are going to mail it in? Maybe they do a deal like kind of the Atlas did with Paul, like ship Paul out and just get some stock. Ship Lyle out, get some stock, plan for the future. No, what do you guys think?
Dude, I think that last spot, because that last spot, right? Greg knows, like that last spot is makeable. Like it's the 7th seed. So if you're trying to win, we got what? The Chaos are 2 and 5, 2 and 5,
2 and 6,
2 and 6, and then the Cannons are 1 and 6, right?
1 and 7.
1 and
There's
7.
2 games
so
left in the season.
Yeah.
I mean, when you want to talk about what are the odds of them making it over the Chaos, well, they're 3 behind as far as score differential goes. And I look at their last 2 games. The Chaos are going to play this week against who do they have? Chaos have the Archers. The Cannons have
Chrome,
which is it's possible. Either of those games are possible. And then last week, the Cannons play the Whip Snakes, and the Chaos play the Atlas. So, it's like it would have been a little bit easier to be more cut and dry if they played each other. But yeah, I mean, either one of these teams could slip up and go 0-2 in the last 2 weeks. So if you win, you're in. So we'll see, man.
Totally. It'll be interesting to see. I think that last week.
I don't think they're gonna mail it in. I don't think they're gonna mail it in though. Like I said, like Greg said, because that spot's still doable.
Totally.
No, I was just saying there's danger there. You never know, right? If all it takes is one guy to do it, and then you know how these locker rooms go. It's infectious.
Absolutely. We touched on the Chaos, and later on in the show we have Blaze coming on as our guest this week. We're really excited about that. The Chaos had a tough loss this week, 13-9 to the Chrome. Chrome back in the win column. They looked like a well-oiled machine out there. Defensively holding that Chaos offense to only 9 goals. That's something to brag about, I think. And then the offense looked like they were just doing their thing out there.
Yeah, I thought.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, good.
I think Connor Farrell imposed his will in the fourth quarter. I will say this, after my ridiculous rant about Matty Penn last week, it looked very obvious there was a concerted effort for them to wait that extra second to make sure Adler got done doing whatever the hell he was doing. And because of that, Connor Farrell totally pumped him. So, when all things are even, Connor Farrell usually going to come out on top. And I thought he did a great job, especially in the fourth quarter, of not just winning the faceoffs, but holding on to the ball. I was kind of shocked that we didn't get to see in that matchup, if Max is getting, beat up, why you wouldn't go to a CJ and let him. He's going to win his fair amount of clamps too,
and he's going to wear down Farrell.
Yeah.
That attack line for the Chrome went off. Those guys doing their thing too. We had Wisnauskas 1-4, Malloy 2-2, Nick Turn 2-1. I mean, they might have the best attack line in the PLL.
42-22 in ground balls for the Chrome.
Ooh.
The Chaos are dead last in ground balls in this league.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
I mean, listen, watching Nick Turn every week, he's a vet, dude. It's like watching a vet play. He reminds me of Jordan Wolf, but Jordan Wolf 3 or 4 years in. He's playing like that right now. And then obviously Dylan Malloy, I think he found his old form, right? I think he's back to playing the way he was playing the guy we know, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the X factor for that offense right now is him, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I also I was watching the post-game interview, and Byrne was talking about how he's like, we're at our best when we're moving the ball quickly. We got the 2-man game. He's like, we didn't change fields at all while we were out there, really. He's like, we didn't do a lot of what we're best at. And I think the game before that, they had 50-50 faceoffs. They're getting a decent amount of possessions. This game, they're getting way less possessions. They're getting out-ground balled all over the place. You might start seeing that sometimes at any level, even in the pros, when guys aren't getting enough touches, they start to do things a little out of character, and rush things. And I feel like they weren't as efficient at getting everybody touches and moving the ball when they were on offense.
He'll tell you, and as a goalie, it's very stressful when the only way you're going to get that ball to the offense right now is if you make a save.
Yeah.
So, and Greg knows, so if Greg won 50%, we're still having an edge if we have decent goaltending. But if you have decent goaltending and no face-off action, the stress on him right now is the only way to get that ball to Josh is to make the save and to start transition. And that's so stressful. He does a lot, dude. He does so much for them. It's I know he's got to be frustrated. We'll ask him, but the pressure is he's got to make 20 saves a game, where if Kyle Bernlohr's in right now, Kyle Bernlohr's got to make 12 saves a game. 12 saves a game with a good defense and a veteran team, that's a lot easier, man.
Yeah. Well, here's interesting, right? Last year, the best goalie in the league is second to last place. Last year, statistically, the best attackman in the league is dead last. It's kind of crazy. Yeah.
And I have 2 takeaways from this game, too, or at least 2 things I want to get your guys' opinion on. First off, Josh Byrne is nasty. I mean, he doesn't get enough love. That, that left to right and opening up and stinging one on Scanoni was so sick. That separation he gets, just his footwork looks amazing. He's getting separation against everyone. He is definitely the spark that team, if that team wants to, make the playoffs and make a push like they can, like we've seen them do, it starts with him for sure. And I think, like you alluded to in that post-game interview, he knows what they need to do to get that done. And then my other takeaway was, which I love to see, was Manley and Frazier going at it in the box. Those are 2 just junkyard dogs.
Dude, I'm going to tell you right now.
Manley's a tough.
I'm going to tell you right now.
Dude.
If that didn't happen in lacrosse helmets on a field, Manley would have had him cuffed to a bench in about 15 seconds. All right, and I'm all for the rah-rah. If you have to make yourself feel big and strong, it's fine. I get it. Mike Manley will put you to sleep. Okay, he is not a fake.
He's a cop, right? He's a cop.
He is a cop. He's a statey, and he will absolutely Yo, I think it was in the bubble. It was in the bubble. I think. No, I'm sorry. It was when we played the Chrome when I was playing. Last game of the season, Cav and Garnsey kind of went at him, and it was like a scrum. And I look over, and Manley has Cav in a headlock, like a sleeper hold, like basically shushing him within 15 seconds. I didn't know even how it happened, and he's just like, shh.
Dude, he's like a real tough guy. Like he's a real tough guy. And listen, I respect what Frazier does. Like Frazier's a big kid. He's a big kid.
And he plays the Canadian style lacrosse. He's not going to take shit from anybody, but I don't know if he wants to step up to the bat with him.
No, look, that was very smart. Do it when you have helmets on, and there's at least 3 officials who can get in the way of the bloodbath.
I have a question for you guys though about the chaos. Like we talk about the midfield needs for certain teams, that dodging threat, that dynamic threat. Dude, so when you play that Canadian style, they got pairs everywhere, right? Do you think that like a dodging threat, like when they used to have Fracaro and he could pull it from deep, right? That was a threat though. Like that was still a threat, an American threat. He probably spaced the defense out a little bit.
Oh, Fracaro was a nightmare to get ready for.
Do you think they need? Oh, dude, he's hard. It's so hard to.
He's awesome.
Guard him. But do you think they're missing that midi that we keep talking about, like that dodging midi?
Not with this offense, I don't think. I think this offense does what they're supposed to. I think we're forgetting. This game was tied 9-9 going into the fourth. It looked to me, watching the fourth quarter, that the Chrome just kind of kept going into that gear, and it looked like the Chaos definitely got tired. That's just what it looked like. It was really hot out there, whatever. But Chrome are, when you're, like you had said, you're getting the faceoffs over and over again in the fourth quarter, and you sting one, and then you get another. It's like shit's a wrap after that. And that's what it looked like to me. I don't think their offense needs. I don't think they need to change anything. They just need to play their offense better. Yeah. And then and that's I got validation thinking that from Byrne in his press conference. But I also think on the other side, their defense played pretty well until the fourth quarter. I mean, they only gave up 9 goals. I mean, Rowlett played his balls off. Did you see the double that he had when he just laid out for it, took the dude's arm off?
Yeah, it was like a tomahawk.
That defense, they play hard, man. This is a good team, and it's got to be so frustrating to come up short like this.
How many face-off guys are on their roster right now?
Well, they had TK, they had Jerry, and now they're with Adler.
That's the only. I think that's a problem. Like, I think that's really going to hurt going deeper into this thing. Because listen, every team at the top right now has a dude. Like the Whipsnakes have a dude, right? Trevor at 80%, Trevor's beating everybody, right? So it's like Adler. If Adler makes it a 50-50 game, cool, because Blaze will make those saves. But you need to at least give him a chance.
I think, and I don't want to take too much from it because this is Connor Farrell, who's arguably probably third best faceoff guy in the league right now.
Right.
But at the same time, if I'm Andy Towers, I'm sitting here watching the film like, okay, last week he was allowed to do anything and he went 50-50. This week he wasn't allowed to do some of the stuff he usually does. He got his teeth kicked in. What do I do this next week? Well, I think you keep him this week because they're playing the Archers, right? The Chaos are playing the Archers, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. So, you got Ignacio, who's a rookie, and he's still figuring this thing out. So maybe Adler would have a better chance. So look, we talked about this before. The Chaos have a history of not having good. I'm not going to say good face-off guys. They've had good face-off guys, but they just haven't had good face-off seasons, and they're still able to win. So I honestly think that if that offense played the way they usually do, they could have won this game, but they just didn't do that long enough where then the Chrome turned it on in the fourth quarter.
Totally. And I think, everything that we've talked about with the Chaos and how Andy Towers coaches, how those kids are in the locker room, I don't think they're worried right now. I think, they're telling themselves, we're going to get into the playoffs and then we're going to make a run. But I think that's their outlook. But, you guys mentioned how the game was, separated because of the face-off difference. And I believe the last game we're going to talk about is the Whipsnakes Archers might have been the most lopsided face-off differential on the weekend. Nards had himself a fucking day. He went 20 of 26. And this was a little bit of a wonky game. There was a 2-hour rain delay. That we've probably all dealt with that before. It kills the momentum, and whatever team kind of comes out of that rain delay more ready to play usually comes out with that win. And it was a tight game, 13-11. Rambo did his thing. The Whips did their thing. They just keep winning. What did you guys see in this one?
What did my thing is, what did Dobson
13
end
saves.
up with? Because I know they.
Yeah, shout out to him
that's
for his
what they went with,
first career start. Big shout out to him.
Yeah, I mean that's it. That kid's really, really good, right? The Archers, they're going to be in the playoffs. So we always bash the Archers. Are they gonna, are they faking it? Whatever, they got to beat teams. I think these games right now, these are good games to get in under your belt against the Whipsticks, playing them hard like that, like playing it to the end, right? That's without a face-off battle at all. Actually, it was one-sided as shit.
You make a great point.
It wasn't even a battle.
And I lost my goddamn mind when that game started. So I don't know what happened. If I hear anything other than Ignacio forgot his shoes in the locker room, I'm going to snap. Okay, you have second best face-off guy in the league goes out there, and you go, okay, the guy who we are paying to face off, how about you sit this first one out? We're going to put the poll out here. Graham Hosick,
Yeah.
he went with he tried to stab Nards with his butt end or some shit. Nards was gone in a second. And then they score right away.
He's a scary individual.
Oh, okay, Ignacio, you're cold? Okay, yeah, now you go out and go against, and then he gets dusted for a goal. That is completely on the Archer staff. You started the game out 2-0, and you already got Nards hot. If I start a game like that as a faceoff guy, I'm like, you guys are screwed. I don't care what you do the rest of the game. I'm hot. Yeah. So they really put themselves, and the fact that they only lost by 2 blows my mind. Because imagine if they actually were intelligent about the way they started that game. But yeah, I mean, Joe had a great game. He had 11 ground balls. Awesome for him. Rambo had 4 points. And Bernlohr was Bernlohr, a 55% save percentage. And it's crazy.
Yeah, listen, I think going into that game, the Archers have the offensive veteran kind of like poise to always be in that game, right? But the Whipsnakes, once again, showed us why they're champs, why they're the best team in the league. They're poised, like, dude, they're so disciplined. The way they play is so disciplined, right? And there's no ego.
Yeah.
There's no ego on that offense right now.
Are you guys concerned? Are you guys concerned that we really haven't seen the Whips blow anyone out and really just kind of dog teams, especially with these face-off differentials? Like they're keeping it close. They're letting teams kind of hang around. Are we worried?
If I told you,
No,
besides you're gonna win the PLL championship, but you're only gonna win every game by 1 goal, you'd be like, all right, I'll take some else, I don't know, take some what's that stuff, Tums? Yeah, I'll use some Tums to deal with the indigestion that I'm gonna have and heartburn, but I'll win every game. It's like if someone says, hey man, you want the body of your dreams, but you weigh 350 pounds. You're like, wait, I look fantastic. I don't give a shit what I weigh. Same thing here. I think the thing that we have to look at, I would rather, if I'm a coach, win every game by 1 or 2 because I know that we are battle tested. The teams that blow people out early, you've seen this in college lacrosse, blow people out, and then all of a sudden you have a hard game and you get your teeth kicked in because you're not prepared for it. I think mentally this is an important thing. It's why the Whipsnakes win because they don't worry about how much they win by. They just go out and win. The Archers poured it on in the fourth quarter too.
I'm telling you, these games.
I mean, they played their best quarter in that fourth quarter, and they still, came up too late.
So, like the Whips having the team they have, they just don't freak out in those situations. So it's like when they play, it's fun to watch because if they're down 3, they know that. Listen, 1 goal, 1 at a time. They chip away, right? Defensively, they bear down. They give Bernlohr shots that he knows he could save. It's just that they trust each other, dude. It's like. I'd rather them get 1 goal wins right now because when they go into the playoffs, that's what it's going to be anyway. And then Nards winning those, like,
11.
What do you have, 10 ground balls, Greg? 11? I mean, that's a different approach to the face-off, but he scraps. Dude, he scraps, so he's never really getting his ass kicked. He's always scrapping and trying to get a Lucy or trying to get a back check.
The only time you see him get flat out beat up is when he goes against Trev. Everybody else, it doesn't matter what kind of day they're having. What I like about Joe is, people forget that professional lacrosse, when it comes to being a face-off guy, you get better as you get older because you get more experience. You understand every referee's name. You understand their cadence. You start to scout guys. You see them 3, 4, 5 times. And then you really get, I mean, look at their wings. They have the same damn wings every year that are the best wings in the league. So, Joe will, like, I faced off against Joe one game in the MLL. He literally just stood up on every single face-off and just started beating the shit out of me. Like, he'll change his approach depending on who he goes against. So, good, kudos to him because he's adapting as a vet.
Totally. I completely agree with you guys. And I do agree with, they shouldn't be worried about winning these close games. I do agree that it's battle testing. They're prepared for the tight ones. And yeah, that wraps up our week recap. We mentioned it. What a great week in Denver. Crowd was fantastic. Next week, we got Salt Lake City. We'll preview those games later on in the show, give you guys our picks. Fellas, we touched upon this in our weekly recap. And I know we were firing in the group text about this when they were going on. How sweet were those throwback jerseys this week? I thought that was a huge win for the PLL.
Dude, I love those jerseys. Listen, man, the throwback, that's what Greg and I played in those in high school. I know my public school, that's what we had. That's what we played in. So
government cheese jerseys right there, man.
Yeah, I love them.
Dude, I miss playing. I am fully jealous of those Redwoods jerseys.
Oh yeah.
With the gray shorts, dude. Oh,
I thought the chrome. I like the chrome. The chrome's throwbacks were.
So, what were your top 3 throwback jerseys from this weekend? Because I
like I like the Atlas, the chrome. I like the Chaos ones too, actually. So those are my top 3.
Yeah, mine were Woods, Archers, Chrome in that order. I thought the orange ones were very retro.
Yeah.
I personally, Redwoods were the best by far. I think those, the way the
gray
colors
shorts really made it, man.
The gray shorts were unbelievable. It looked like they were in middle school gym class, like how throwback they were.
It was.
I think Greg should still be able to get one to him. I mean, he's an alum. So
that's right. I'm going to talk to Nat.
You guys got connects to the PLL. Let's get some merch. Let's get some of those. I want a chrome one.
I will not be getting an Atlas jersey. But yeah,
there's a tweet floating around today that a lot of people jumped on because I said that Mike and Paul are afraid of Matty Palin. So I don't know if I'm getting anything now. We'll see.
I got to go find that so I can retweet.
You can't order them online. You can order them, but they're not the pothole mesh. They're like shirts that are just that color.
I get a t-shirt jersey.
Merchandise doesn't look anything like it.
Now, what I hope though going forward is that, say, like in college, like when I was in college, like when I was a captain, the coach would be like, "What combination of jerseys like you guys want to wear for this game?" And like you kind of get the mix and match, the combo of jerseys. You want to wear like white top, blue shorts. I hope that they have that kind of autonomy where they can be like, "Hey, we want to," or if someone had a good game, it's like, "All right, we had a sick game in these last week. Let's keep it going. They got good mojo."
Hey,
yeah, that's
Greg,
not going to happen.
Greg,
why do you say that?
Because that's not the way it works, dog.
Let me tell you who makes the decisions over there.
Yo, in the MLL, yeah, the Lizards winning a throwback jersey, and we tell the organization, yeah, we want to do those again next week. They'd be like, okay. If this league, nah. I mean, look, it's a traveling league, so everything's planned out ahead of time. Now, the reason they did this, that's more merch, man. That's great, but we got to enjoy it because I thought they were sick.
The reason they got it is because Paul liked it that week.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, obviously it's a smart move. You're like,
yeah,
it's like LeBron. Every time he changes his number, it's like, well, jerseys, updated jerseys. Yeah. There we go.
Do you think because they were so well received that the PLL will start going more alternate jerseys in the future?
Here's what I will say. I think the league was an Adidas league, so we got Adidas uniforms. And I think it would be an intelligent move for Paul and Mike to kind of fish around and see what would like champion jerseys look like. Because these really look like Adidas uniforms with a champion logo that's like 17 inches long, stamped on the side of it. But if champion comes to the deck and says, hey, look, this year, this is what we're thinking. Yeah, I say why not? Because, just because the league started with that. Look, one of the things I love about Mike and Paul, they're absolutely not afraid to go for it, right? I mean, the league itself was completely just people were like, oh, they're going to do this. And, oh, the names are dumb. Oh, really? You have $7,000 worth of chaos stuff now, right? Like, they just go for it, and people will catch on if it's done right. I don't see why they'd be afraid to go full-time with those jerseys. I agree, Sibes. I just think that they're poking around to see what champion might want to do next year.
Yeah, Sibes, I think they should have like four jerseys that they could like alternate with, and one of them like the porthole throwback, but one of them just an alternate, like an alternate color, whatever it is. It just gives them options, right? Just options.
I like every kind of option other than matte gray helmets with a chrome.
You touched on a funny point though, Greg, that I noticed too, which I think is so funny on all the jerseys, that it's like someone went on Microsoft Word and took the size 12 font champion logo and just typed in 72 and just blew it up as big as possible.
Hey, good for whoever did the deal for champion was like, all right, we got everything on deck. Like the last second they slid in a clause. They're like, but the champion logo has to be ginormous. Huge. Big enough to cover the Adidas logo that's definitely underneath it.
Yeah, that's always funny to see that giant logo. But champion gear in general, I feel like, is making a comeback. I feel like it's almost like cool. The younger kids in high school are all rocking champion stuff now.
No, it's retro, man. Champion used to be like the kind of like underneath Adidas and Nike. Now it's like, okay, well, if we just make our shit more expensive, now it's like, so Champion's really expensive shit now. They're like, come get your Redwoods t-shirt. Oh, sick. It's Champion. Nice. $72. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's Champion, so I guess it's worth it.
I mean, next we're gonna have starter jackets. We're gonna have starter jackets. With the PLL.
Please, can we do PLL starter jackets?
I feel like, didn't they have those at some point? No?
A whisper of a dream.
Oh, it was probably Vineyard Vines.
I feel like I've seen RJ rocking one on the sidelines.
Dude, these kids have no idea what's coming. There's a hurricane coming. If starter jackets come back, you're gonna see a bunch of dads like me rocking starter jackets all over the place.
That's our generation for sure.
Get your ass beat for that starter jacket. You gotta watch out during recess.
I'm glad we all liked those uniforms, though. I'm glad they were really well received. It seemed like they were well received on Twitter as well, and lacrosse Twitter. And just big win for the PLL. Sometimes they make moves like that kind of get poo-pooed, but no, that's a big win for them, and good job that it was well received. Moving on, we got a new segment for the show this week, Mailbag Segment. We had our listeners write in, ask some questions. So I will encourage everyone, if you're listening, comment on our Instagrams, comment on the YouTube videos, tweet at us. If you want your question read on the show, we'll give you a nice little shout out, and we'll chop it up and ask your question. So this first question is from E. Dardani 23, and the question is Tom Schreiber still the best player in the world?
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay.
It's that simple for me.
I have a little bit of a different answer. Absolutely.
Go on.
That's great. Yeah, look, Schreiber is the most complete, absolute best midfielder in the world. And if I had to start a team,
I agree.
I would 100% start with him. Not just because of the fact that he can do everything on the field, but the fact that he leads, the fact that he does things the right way. He's an incredible ambassador for the sport. Like, he does everything right. Yeah, I mean, I would totally build a team around Tom. Now, here's the other question, though, Sibes, is who else is in that conversation?
Okay, so I was going to, play a little devil's advocate. So I agree with both of you guys. And I agree that I don't think there's ever been someone who's had the amount of success in the box game and the field game as much as he has, right? Like, he's mastered every type of lacrosse.
Captain America.
And his vision, the way he's unselfish, it's just like you said, he's the guy you want to build a team around. But to play devil's advocate, I'm assuming that, whoever wrote this in probably thinks that, Tom's getting a little old and is a big fan of the new wave coming in. So maybe that's what the angle is. What do you think about that? Like, do you think he's
dude,
on the decline?
listen, I got something. I played with Tommy for 5 years. I mean, in Ohio. Like watching that guy, the way his body's never 100%. The way he plays, it's always at like 80%, and he battles, doesn't say a word, right? He's just a throwback kind of midi, bro. Like the way he plays is like so like two-way to me. He can play defense. Like I've watched him get in the hole, jam guys, play D. But listen, when you're on top for that long, literally people just try to like find an excuse to make you not the best anymore. He's still the best. I want to see him win.
I think I'm going to take a little bit more of a positive approach on this because I actually think it's a good question. I think, overall, like when I look at something like that, I think, okay, who would I absolutely build a team around? If I had number one pick in the PLL, who would I build a team around, right? If I'm not going with a goaltender or a face-off guy, because I feel like that's not fair at this moment, because if I had a number one pick, I'd probably take a goaltender or a face-off guy. But if we're looking at overall player, I can't think of another person that I would go to other than Tom. And here's the argument for Tom, is every year that he's been in the league, whether it was the MLL or the Archers or whatever, his team either makes the playoffs or goes and wins a championship, or is at least competitive to do one of those two things. Right now in the PLL, the Archers have made the playoffs every single year. So when you're looking at it from that standpoint, it's like, okay, he's always near the top of the rankings. He's always producing. Even someone like Lyle, because he's an attackman, can only do so much. His team's in dead last, and he leads the league in points. So when I look at a midfielder, that's where I would go to, and I can't think of anybody better than Tom Schreiber right now. But if we were to say two,
I would go with like Courier.
Yeah, I mean Courier's great.
Like
Courier is, in my opinion, if you're gonna he's the best two-way midfielder in the world. He can do everything.
He's like,
what about Ament?
He's Tommy of.
He's
Canada.
what?
I think he's Tommy Schreiber of
I like
Canada.
That. What about Ament? Wouldn't you be able to build a team around Ament? I think he might be next up,
Dude, attackman.
I know, but a true ex-attackman that wants to get assists more than they want to score is pretty invaluable.
Yeah, I think Ament could. I mean, Ament has been banged up a lot in his early career so far, and it's not his fault. It's just bad luck. But I would have to see a couple more years of him playing every game or something to be able to say that. But I do think he's got the potential to totally be in that.
I mean, I kind of agree with I agree with Greg on this. Like, if you're not getting a Fogo or a goalie, I would either have like a shutdown defenseman, like a Tucker Durkin, right? Someone like that to kind of be the glue, or a midfielder next. I think attack for me would be last, just because there's so many great attackmen in that league.
Yeah. I hear you. That's a fair point. All right, good question. Thanks for sending it in. Our next question is from Topside Lax. Did the Chrome make the right pick, taking Logan Wisnauskas, number one overall, over what was basically the consensus number one, Chris Gray?
Well, listen, can I go? I'm just going to say, listen, he is the best fit for that Whipsnakes team, right? So if Gray goes in there, they already have a dude. So if Gray's taking those shots at high volume, I'm going to tell you right now, Chanachuk, Vets will definitely be like, dude,
Chanachuk wouldn't care at all because he's not on that team.
The Chrome.
Not Chan.
No.
Channy likes to shoot the ball.
Greg, take it over for me.
No, I agree with you, though.
Sorry. You're saying, my bad.
I don't agree with you.
So,
well, either way, I think for that attack group, right, to have Gray on there with the guys that they have, I don't think they need more shooters on that line. I think they have all the threats they need, and the size for them is what their matchup advantage is right now. Is how big their attack is. Yeah, they're huge. Dude.
I think, look, kid scored 5 points last game. I mean, he's doing what needs to be done. Now, when you look at their offense, I wouldn't say they didn't need another weapon. I think what they did, and this is the part I agree with you, is they went with the type of weapon that they needed. I agree with you. They have a very large attack. But when you look at the two guys they ended up getting, like Nick Turn's been putting up the points, and Logan's been putting up the points. So we talk about, Sudes as being one of the most likable, respected coaches in the pros. And when he makes a choice like that, I know people who probably don't know pro lacrosse very well, like, all the kids on Twitter and stuff are like, meh, 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 meh. But like for those of us who understand Sudes, we're like, I'm not going to argue with Sudes. Guy has built championship teams before,
Yeah.
and Logan is producing. Now, if Logan was in and out of the lineup, or if they were trying to send him out of the box or something because it hasn't been really working, then I would say, yeah, absolutely. Maybe they should have gone a different direction. But it looks like everybody's winning from them drafting Logan because, Gray's doing his thing for sure, and Wisnauskas is doing his thing.
Yeah.
Well, just think about this real quick. You get that winning culture from Maryland, coming from Maryland, is going to rub off.
He plays on the Chrome.
Wisnauskas? Right. Coming from the Terps, that culture of winning. Coming to the Chrome who don't have a winning culture. Okay? He comes in. Gray was at the Tar Heels. They had talent. They never really put it together. They bring in a guy.
There's something to be said for that. Yeah,
I agree. I think
that matters.
And here's the thing:
totally redeemed yourself with that comment.
They have the Chrome have Malloy playing that right side. You're going to draft Chris Gray and make him play behind? No, the steal of the draft, as we've talked about, was Nick Turn. But now that's not what we're talking about right now. That they had the spot to fill on that left side. Wisnauskas seamlessly filled that left side spot. That attack unit was kind of wholesaled from. They had spots to fill, and specifically that lefty spot. Yes, the Atlas, it fell on their lap. They were going to take Gray if the Chrome didn't. I don't know if they would have taken Wisnauskas if the reversal happened. An interesting thing for me was, Jake Caraway's only played 2 games, I think, this year for the Atlas because Gray filled that spot. And he's a dude, man. He can rip the ball. He can beat his man. He can turn the corner. And I don't know why another team hasn't found a use for him. Because
I agree with
it seems like the Atlas aren't using him. But I'm getting away from the point. I agree with you guys that Wisnauskas should have been the first pick, and it was the right call.
Yeah.
Our last question for this week is from What's Gucci 22, and this is a fun one, boys. Who wins in a UFC fight, Scotty or Greg?
Take it away, Scotty.
Wait, let's preface this. Have you guys ever fought before?
I mean, we're not in the same weight class, right?
I've never fought Scotty, no. Always big hugs.
No, it's all hugs.
I've tried to get Scotty. I've tried to get Scotty riled up. It just doesn't work.
Listen, 2 different ways.
Too lovable.
That's not true. Listen, 2 different weight classes, okay? I'm more of a power guy. Greg is a lot more agile than he looks. He works on his flexibility, his functionality. I'm not very functional, so I'm just probably going to punch myself out in the first round. That's it. And then he'll start killing.
I would have to get Scotty to the ground. That would have to be what I do.
Yeah, the UFC fight is an interesting tidbit, right? UFC
that
rules.
Is interesting.
If it was
background,
WWE no holds barred, it might be no different.
If Scotty and I stood up blow for blow, then I'd have to go nighty night.
If it was boxing, I'd feel okay.
Yeah.
If it was boxing, I'd feel comfortable. I mean, the UFC.
If we get those leg gloves,
if I go to the ground,
yep.
No.
Yep.
Oh, gee.
And then I'm gonna
maybe we can get a sponsor to come in and get a pay-per-view.
Manly, get in here and finish them. Nobody wants any part of Manly.
I don't want
well, that's a fun one. Maybe, like I said, we'll get someone to sponsor it. We'll get a pay-per-view, and maybe we'll get these 2 in the ring. But yeah, thanks for sending in these questions, guys. Listeners, please keep sending them in. These are fun for us. Sparks conversation. You guys get to have your voices heard, and that's what we're all about. We're doing this for you guys. Keep writing in. We'll keep asking your questions. Next segment is a segment we introduced last week that we got a lot of shit for. And it's really an impossible question. It's the start 'em, sit 'em, cut 'em. Three of the best players at a position. Last week we did the attack. Do we want to recap that at all? We got a lot of shit online for. You want to recap it?
Yes.
All right. What do you got to say, Greg? Then you seem passionate. You want to recap it?
No, I mean, okay. Who started Rambo?
I did.
Okay. Sibes. Which one of those three attackmen won this weekend?
Oh, you did. Yeah.
Rambo.
How many points did Rambo have?
4.
Yep.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good pick. I mean, he won. That was the idea. And like we said, Scotty, we're gonna get shit no matter what. I get, as long as we wake up, we're gonna get shit for it. So who cares? No, look. I mean, it's an impossible question. That's why we ask it. Of course, we could ask easy ones, but I thought, my thing was Rambo. I thought had the best chance to win, and I thought that he was going to put up points against that particular defense, and he did. And I admit that I thought the Redwoods would put a little bit more of a lid on Lyle. Do you guys think when you're playing Lyle at this point that you go, look, I would rather Lyle score 6 points than let the rest of the team crush us? Like, do you think that it's like if Lyle scores 6 and the Cannons end up with 10 because of it, we can beat them? But if we put so much attention on Lyle that we're sliding right away and going nuts about it, we're leaving other weapons open and Drenner drops, whatever on us, and then we're screwed. Do you think there's an element of that?
Totally.
Like play regular
I think that's
defense?
a great point because you could put any defenseman in the world on Lyle, and he's going to get his. He's going to rock back and forth. He'll throw one, between his legs around the world, and it will find the way to the back of the net. He's going to get his. So it's like I agree. Maybe you just sit back, let him do his thing, let him milk the shot clock himself. Maybe he gets one, maybe he doesn't. But yeah, I think that's a good point.
I really think. I mean, Epple leads the PLL by a mile in caused turnovers. I feel like I just thought Epple's been more disciplined this year. He's been great. I thought with him, and then look, if we talk about defenders, I'll be honest with you. If we're not counting LSMs, if I had one pick, my number one pick in this league would be Glazner because of the way he communicates. It's literally it's something incredible to witness, and I just thought that he would have all those pieces in place enough to kind of hold Lyle back a little bit, and it didn't matter. The kids, Lyle's just unbelievable.
So let's get right into this week's. You mentioned defense, and we don't have Glaze on this list, but this week for our stardom, sit 'em, cut 'em defenseman edition, we have Matt Dunn, Jack Rowlett, and Garrett Epple. Scotty, we're going to start with you on this one.
I'm going to start Dunn because, dude, they're winning, right? And he's their shutdown defenseman. So for me, it's just that he's the guy for them. 2, Epple, just because, like Greg said, second, he's always like in the top of the league in turnovers, caused turnovers. I think he makes the Redwoods better when he's on, right? And then 3, I love Rowlett, but listen, they're not playing great defense right now, right? All his hustle plays are great. I love his energy. He's the catalyst for a lot of things for them. But out of those 3, that's what I got.
Listen, Dunn is actually he's like an interesting combination of a Glazner and then like a Tucker Durkin. Like very good on ball. He's great on ball, but he's so philosophical and analytical in the way he approaches the game. If you listen, like you go to these best in class or first class lacrosse clinics and listen to Dunn break down the defensive position, it is incredible to watch. And you're right. It's not a coincidence that his defense is constantly in the top of the league. So, I would go I too, because also remember, there's a lot of new pieces on that defense, short stick D, etc. this year, and they're still doing what they do.
Yeah.
I would go with him, and then. Yeah, I agree with you. I think Chaos as a unit is not playing great D. I would be interested to see, because Ep's my boy, but I would be interested to see how great Garrett Epple is if a Glazner isn't
Yeah.
there giving communication, because Epp kind of just does his thing better than most. Do you think him being a cause turnover machine works against him when
Right.
he's playing someone like Lyle? Like, you can't go for the cost. You can't go for the turnover against Lyle, or you put yourself out of position.
So I'm looking at this. I agree how you
Yeah,
guys
what do you
went
think?
at this in terms of like winning, best chance to make their team win. But for me, as an attackman, I'm looking at this as who do I not want to go up in a one-on-one against,
Mhm.
right? And for me, like Matt Dunn, he's just gonna sit in the chair, play sound defense, like poke, poke, lift, poke. If you're going in one-on-one against Epple and Rowlett, they're going to fucking kill you.
They're
Like
gonna kill
they're
you.
going to try to take your arms off, or if they're the slide guy,
Yeah.
they're bringing the noise when they're sliding, right? Like so, those are the two guys that I don't want to see. Period. So I'm going at it totally opposite way. I'm going to start Apple because right, he's got the cause turnovers. He's going to take your lunch and he's going to kill you while he's doing it. He's looking for blood.
Yeah.
Rowlett's the same way, but Apple right now is a little bit better. So I'll sit Rowlett because he's still just junkyard dog. He's gonna do whatever he can to take the ball away. He's gonna dive at you. He's gonna tackle you. He's gonna grab you, and he's gonna try to pop your helmet off when he's sliding. And then I'm gonna cut Dunn just because of the three. He's you mentioned it's a good thing, the most philosophical, he's meat and potatoes, right? He's not going to get beat. He's going to play sound defense. He's going to have his stick in the lane. He's going to get nuggets. Exactly. He's not flashy, and he's not looking to knock teeth out, which is why he's for me like the least fearful of the three, which is the route I went and taking those picks.
Okay. Yeah. I think for me, it was if I was going to have a defense and I had to draft one of these guys first, I would draft Dunn because he checks a couple more boxes. But when you talk about checking boxes, Epple can be an offensive weapon too. I mean, the guy will literally toe drag and dunk it. And he's great off the ground.
Oh, yeah, you could pull up.
Whew, this is tough. I think I'm going to start. And also, I think Rowlett and Epple are a little too similar. I think Epple's a slightly more technically skilled version of Rowlett at this point, and Rowlett's young, so he can develop. But yeah, I'll go Dunn, Epple, and then Rowlett. Yeah.
All right, I like it, fellas. And rounding out the show, we have our picks for next week. It's going to be in Salt Lake City. Great venue. The PLL's been there before. We got some great games on tap too. Last week, your boy went 4-0, swept him. Greg went 3-1, respectable week. And Scotty wearing the golden sombrero, 0 for 4. Yikes. We got a big bounce back week on tap, though. Scotty, we're going to start with you. Atlas Whipsnakes. Who do you got? This is a big game.
I got the Atlas.
I love it. Short and sweet. You got a reason behind that? What are you thinking?
That's it. I just think that's the two teams that might see each other in a championship. The Atlas they need this one because the Whipsnakes have had their number. I think this is the game.
Love it. Greg, what are you thinking?
Whew, Friday night. I got to go Whips until proven otherwise. I think the Whips beat them earlier this year when Trevor had himself a day, and they still beat them. But until the Whipsnakes let me down, I'm going to go with the Whips on this.
I'm in the same boat as you, Greg. The Whips until they lose. I'm going to keep picking them. Whips. I'm on board their train for the picks for sure. I think it's been strong and steady, so I'm going to keep it going. Next game of the weekend, we got Water Dogs versus Redwoods. Water Dogs have been hot. Redwoods trying to find some mojo. Got a big win last week. What are we thinking? Greg, we'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, this one's interesting for me because it's impossible to ignore a team that's won 5 freaking games in a row. I think they really like Tucci. I think they might stick with him. And their offense is humming right now. And they're so good in transition. The key to this game, in my opinion, is going to be transition defense for the Water Dogs. The Redwoods, both their 2s last week were in transition, and they are incredibly dangerous with those 2 bombs. So, I'm going to go Water Dogs in this game because they've won 5 in a row. I can't pretend like they're not. They haven't won, and they've won against good competition.
Yeah.
Scotty, what are you thinking?
I got the Water Dogs, man. I think they're just hot right now. I love the way they're playing. They're playing together, high energy. So I'm going Water
I agree. I'm Water Dogs too. I know it doesn't make for good content, us not ragging against each other, us all being in the same boat, but I completely agree with everything you guys said. They're hot. They're finding their groove. They look like they're just having fun out there. I'm picking the Water Dogs.
Yep.
Next up on the docket, we have Chaos versus Archers. Two teams. Archers don't necessarily need a win, but they probably want to get back in the win column. Chaos, they pretty much need a win here. What do we think?
What are you thinking?
I'm going to go with I got the Chaos, man. I just believe they know what they're up against. They know what they have to do right now. And they're made for this kind of push. They've done it before. So I just think I got the Chaos.
Yeah.
Greg, what do we think?
This is the toughest game of the weekend, in my opinion. And when I listen to the interviews and we sit there and go, okay, I think this is going to be about a 50-50 battle on the stripe. If the Chaos win this game this weekend and the Cannons lose, let me see something here. So their game's at 3 p.m. on Saturday. The Cannons play right after them. The Chaos win and the Cannons lose.
Yep.
It's a wrap. They're in the playoffs. I don't see Blaze Reardon allowing them. I don't see him allowing this to happen. I also think Jack Rowlett is going to be so pissed that we cut him.
Agreed.
So
I didn't cut him. I sat him.
No,
I sat him.
to be honest,
Don't be mad at me.
their offense, like we said, their offense doesn't need to do anything different. They just need to be their offense. And I know those guys are going to go in the locker room after that game and said, we just need to play the way we're supposed to. And I think they're going to. And I think the Chaos will come out playing well. And I got to go with Blaze Reardon in this situation. And I think that the Chaos are going to end up with a win here.
I'm on the same page. We're linking up on this week. I'm all on board with the Chaos. With playing with their backs against the wall. I feel like they thrive in this scenario. I always think of that clip. I think it was Newman. It was like 12%, 12%, right? Like, you remember that? It was like, oh, that's the chances you guys thought we had, and then they ended up winning it all. And they love that. They feed off of that stuff. So yeah, I think they're gonna hit stride with their back against the wall. Final game of the weekend, Cannons versus Chrome. My Chrome, I'm going to keep picking Chrome. I'll start it off Chrome. Simple as that.
Wow. So
yeah,
this is what I'm picturing in Salt Lake City. I'm picturing this game, the last game of the weekend, okay, 5:30 p.m. on a Saturday, and the Chaos just beat the Archers. And they're standing behind the Cannons bench, watching the game, and the Chrome just crush them. Like I just think, I just see this writing on the wall. I think the Chrome are going to be ready to go. I think they're going to win at the stripe. I think they're going to win in cage, and I see them winning this game. So yeah, I'm going Chrome too. This wasn't that hard to pick that one.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I love seeing some upsets here and there, but I think, on paper, week was pretty straightforward. Let's see how the results pan out. Comment who you think's going to have the best record. Comment who you think's wrong, who's right. Let us know. Let us know your picks if you disagree with us. But that is our show, fellas. Another great week. Love doing this with you guys. Listeners, make sure you subscribe to Apple, subscribe to Spotify, subscribe to TorchPro's YouTube channel if you want to watch us chop it up and you want to see our pretty faces. Guys, thanks for doing this again. Great week.
Oh, yeah.
See you boys in the winner's circle. To the moon.
To the moon.
Later, fellas.